I'm your host, Sarah. With me, I have, as usual, the one and only Mr. Akamaru Red. What's up, man? How you doing?
Hello, everyone. I'm doing very well, thank you, and I hope you all do fine, and hope we have a good show.
I'm really excited for today's episode. It's been quite some time since we've been able to bring an episode to you guys, and here we are, finally back into it. We got episode 17 for you. So, what's up, man? How's your week been? How have you enjoying
Uh,
Chronogenesis?
it's my week has been very good. I've been playing a lot more Shadowverse now. I fixed my sleep schedule, so now I have a lot more time in the morning. It's when I play my Shadowverse and Chronogenesis, the new set and the rotation format gave a new freshness to Shadowverse so much that I've actually try a lot more now, and I want to learn because you like learning the game as if it was like a new game again, right?
There's with all the cards that recently left in for at least rotation, so much there are so many other cards that are now seeing play, and so many cards that like we're seeing play before but are seeing more play now. And just like it's nice. It's just a big mix up, and I really have been enjoying it. Which format have you been playing more? Between the two, rotation or unlimited?
So it's I'm doing mostly dailies. So my daily set up what I play. If it's blood, it's always unlimited. I'm a fan of my Vengeance Blood, my beautiful Vengeance Blood deck.
Mm-hmm.
So I go unlimited. If it's anything else, if it's Portal, I also go unlimited with my PTP. And if it's anything else, I usually go rotation. So it's like mostly rotation. Last time I played unlimited was like maybe 4 days ago, something like that. I had like a 5 win
Mm-hmm.
with blood, and I played like 6 games. Then I got the mission. It was easy. It was easy.
When the expansion dropped, I was like so excited to play both unlimited and rotation, just because there are so many things to do in both of them. But I just started playing more and more rotation, and I want to be playing unlimited, but there's just not enough time for me to be playing both of them.
Yeah, it's also scary, right? Because you're so afraid because you've played rotation since the beginning of the set. So you imagine there's these players that like master 10,000 points with unlimited. They figured the meta of unlimited. They're like very experienced with the mulligans, and you're like so scared of like, what the hell am I gonna face? Do I face Stormhaven? Am I facing Aegis? Am I playing against D Shift? Is it Dirt Rune? Is it OTK Forest? Is it Aggro Forest? I'm so afraid, right? At least for me, I'm
Mhm.
very afraid sometimes playing unlimited.
There are just certain cards in unlimited that now that I've been playing so much rotation, like I'm so glad I don't see him anymore. Like Garuda for one, just like
Yeah.
I'm so
Oh,
glad I don't have to worry
Revelation.
about that one anymore.
Oh, Revelation. Themis Decree. Like every single removal spell. Now you don't need to play around them.
I,
It
I miss
feels
I
yeah, it
miss
feels good.
Revelation. That one leaves a that leaves a hole in my heart, man.
Wheel of the
Reach
Forest.
of the Archdemon is
Hey.
not Revelation, man.
No, it's not. Wheel of the Forest. How do you feel about that one? You don't have that one now.
I don't have that one anymore, but I've been playing my three Cassiopeias, so it's all right. I'd definitely be playing Cassiopeias and Will of the Forest if I could, though. But so, man, with the new expansion being here, there's been that. There's been the World Grand Prix, which I think you probably have one or two things to say about. For those who don't know, Akamaru was one of the players who happened to play in the World Grand Prix, and he ended up getting second place, right? So how do you?
Yeah, it's it is just a quick disclosure. It is very hard to play on a tournament of that scale with that format. Uh, so I've been I've been very how do we say this? I've been pressuring a lot of people because they miss lethals on tournaments, like what I believe to be small tournaments. But I never thought I was gonna miss lethals, and I missed lethals that I knew I had, and because your brain doesn't work as it usually does. So when you play on NG or any other tournament, like I always have the steps that like my turn always works the same way. I
Mhm.
always see file lethal, then I try to set up lethal, and then I actually go for the rest. So on that tournament, I didn't. setup lethal, but that's like normal because I've that happened to me on NGE before as well. But like missing lethal, that is a whole level because I spend a lot of time doing that, and it's just that your brain is very tired, your body is very tired because you've been playing not because of playing, just because you've been awake for like 10 hours, and you're in this closed environment where you don't have access to like your friends, or
Hmm.
you can't actually go out and take a breath or like enjoy the sun or take a beverage or anything else, right?
It's just
So
constant playing and constant
it's like
waiting.
constant focus and constant, there's always lights going on, there's always like smoke, always noise, always interviews. It's very difficult to
Y-
play. Definitely very welcome experience, and I've learned a lot, and I hope I take that experience, and next year I think we will be very strong because me and Jay Z, we didn't perform. I think we didn't perform as strong as we could perform. I think we are very strong players, but we didn't show our strengths there. I
it-
think we can do a lot better than what we did,
the
and I
whole
think
event.
that's the main difference. Sorry, it's
Mhm,
the last thing. The main difference between Japanese players and us is that they played Rages before in the same. It was this exact same place and location, so
mhm.
they're used to that, and we were not. So
The whole like that whole tournament just alone looked exhausting. Like I remember I was just a spectator. I was just watching it, and I don't like near the semifinals, like near the end of it, and there was a break in between. I just fell asleep during it. I couldn't stay
yeah,
awake. I had to set an alarm to wake up to watch the last rounds, and like when the match where you and Jay Z like walked up to each other to shake hands before you guys started playing, if you looked at Jay Z's face, he
yeah,
looked exhausted, man. Like
yeah.
I can only imagine how
It
much
was.
how much mental fatigue that event can bring on you.
Yes, that was the game where I missed lethal. Like, I got off the game and I went to the backstage and I sat down right next to Jay Z, and he told me on stage. He told me I made a mistake. He was like, "I'm sorry for the game. I played so bad." And I'm like, we go to backstage. We sit like next to each other, and we both like go like we both frown our head, like we lower our heads, and we're like, I can't believe I missed lethal. And he was like, I can't believe I threw away a Bahamut like that. I can't believe I did this. We were all pointing our mistakes instead of like, yeah, it was very difficult. Like the Shadow versus Dragon game, that was so difficult. That was very difficult
It's
because it's also because it's JC, right? Is very strong player in that particular matchup. Me and him, we love that matchup a lot, and like we played a lot of that matchup. So it was a very difficult. Every single play that, like, you see a mistake, like it didn't kill my tutu, and I'm like, wait, I think Jay Z played around Fentanyl, so I don't think I have lethal with Fentanyl. But let me check. But then I do the math, and I'm like, wait, I don't think I have it. And, and then the fact that Jay Z didn't see or realize that he gave me lethal with Phantom Mao made me think that perhaps I didn't have, you know what I mean,
mhm.
right? 'Cause playing against a good player, so you expect him to do certain things, and that actually never happened to me before. It was very interesting.
It's just that just goes to show like that is what fatigue can do to you after just a long event because that was over the course of how many days? That was over 2 days, right?
It was 2 days, 10 hours the first day, and then 10 hours the second day. Yeah.
So I'm curious. I want to know because when I was watching day one, I saw. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you were like at the beginning of it, you were down 0-2 or down 0-3, right?
Yes. Zero
What
zero two. Yes.
and you bring back just with like a 5-0 sweep, right? What was that like?
It was 0-2, 2-2, and then 2-3, and then 5-3. It was so you mentioned fatigue, right? Every single round that I finish from when I was 2-3, every single round that I lose, I'm out. So every round that I finish, I was like, oh, yes. I kept exhaling, and then my opponents were very sad. Actually, that was one of the hardest things, was having to shake hands with
Mhm.
someone that got eliminated by you. Like, the guy was destroyed. Like Ma and Roro, they felt destroyed. They were on their seats, still looking at the screen, like thinking about their plays. And I'm like, they're waiting for them. I'm like, I'm so sorry that I did this to you. I am so sorry. We don't want to be in the position of eliminating the dreams of the other guys. So that was very hard, and it just felt like I dodged a bullet. Oh my god, I dodged a bullet, especially because I was playing against Agroforest. dirt room, like every single round. Agroforest, dirt room. I played a Vengeance Blood against D-Shift. I
Mm-hmm.
lost against that matchup earlier in the early round.
Mm-hmm.
So if I lose that round, I'm out. So I'm like, oh my god, my hands were shaking. I hope he doesn't have D-Shift on it. It didn't have it. So I'm like, yes, thank God. I dodged the bullet. It was very stressful. Yeah,
It it sounds like the whole thing just must have been an incredible experience to just be
it
there.
was. And then everyone was just waiting for you on the sofa. They're like, "How was it? How was it?" I'm like, "I win." They're like, "Nice, nice. Just keep going, keep going." Yeah.
That's got to be awesome, man. Like, but we've got way more to talk about than just the World Grand Prix. We have so much stuff about Chronogenesis. So I want your first impressions of Chronogenesis right off the bat.
Uh, I have to apologize to my beautiful Arisa because I didn't. Every expansion I play Forest. I try
Mm-hmm.
Forest. I didn't try Forest. I made such a big mistake. So first big impression, major impression from Chronogenesis, my dream control forest archetype exists as a forest deck, not as a neutral deck. So I'm very excited for that.
And it's awesome. I want to just like say I the moment Chronogenesis came out, the first thing I did was craft 3 Insect
You
Lords, and I just
you
went to
were a believer.
town,
Yeah.
and it's so much fun. King Elephant control is just sick. It's got so many fun ways to kill people. I love just playing a Bahamut and just playing a 0 cost King Elephant to save the Bahamut for later. Just so many fun things you can do with it, man.
And this is what you call OTK, because right, OTK you kill them on one turn. You do
Hmm.
20, and elephants actually do 20. It's so fun, like
Yeah.
double elephant. It's the most fun thing to do. I guess it's not fun for your opponent, but then again, I don't care.
What you mean? It's not fun to have a ward up and still die to 20 damage?
Yes, it's not. I don't think it is. I mean, I lost to elephant. I was not sad, so I guess I was happy. I'm like, yes,
the, the
I'm
th-
glad elephant exists.
the thing about it that makes it feel okay to me, one, people aren't playing it too often. I feel like people aren't playing King Elephant too much, and two, at least you have a warning that it's coming. Like you can look at their hand size, and you know how much reach they have based on their hand size and board size. And if they're gonna have that crazy OTK, they need to have
A
procced
full hand. Yeah.
a White Wolf.
A
They would have
wolf.
needed to play that. So you have a feeling about when it's coming, and you can prepare for it at least as best as you can.
Also, there's ways to um pressure their turn 8, right? So their turn 8, they want to play the white wolf.
Mm-hmm.
A mistake that I usually see, especially on the mirror, is people playing Aaron on 8. I believe that is a mistake because you just give away free wolf targets. A really one of my opponents did this, and I was like, oh, that's smart. Like he went really wide
Mm-hmm.
with like 2 attack followers, and I'm like, wait, my wolf now feels very slow,
Mm-hmm.
and he could actually pressure me with jungle wardens or his own wolf. If I play my wolf, he can play his wolf, but then he's ahead on the race because I only have wolf and 9 mana, so I can't double elephant. But maybe his small followers do enough damage that allows him to kill me with a wolf. So it was very interesting. Like the mirror is very interesting to play.
Mm-hmm. It's it's interesting, and I feel like one thing that makes me pretty happy is this is a card that I've been saying I think is powerful for quite some time, like maybe a little slept on for quite some time, was King Monkey Jungle Warden. I really like Jungle Warden, and now that games in at least rotation, the format has significantly slowed down. Games are getting
Yeah.
to turn 11, turn 12. I feel like somewhat consistently now, at least for like the
Yes.
slower matchups, and that makes cards like like Jungle Warden like it's a great win condition now. It's tons of storm damage. It's a great way to protect yourself because it's 2 wards. Like it's just good, man.
Yeah, I've had the pleasure of playing Loki and monkey. I got 3 monkeys.
Mhm.
That was really cool. I killed it was like a mini Ektar. I mean, not a mini, like a big Ektar, but it's all my games except dirt room matchups where I usually uh grind them out, and they're like they get out of resources so fast that they actually lose. But most of my games actually go to 10. I always have 10 play points on most of my games, so I am actually quite happy. That's why I'm playing a lot more Shadowverse now,
Hmm.
because now decisions matter a lot, and if you're not prepared, you're not gonna make it in tournaments like NGE. Because before I made it far. I'm honest, I made it far, and Jay Z also admitted this before, that we made it far without like practicing a lot, because most decks were very linear to play, or you're playing against decks that played on curve. But now there's a lot of decisions, there's a lot of setups, there's a lot of combos, there's a lot of stuff you need to play around, and you need to know exactly what the meta is. Otherwise, you're gonna get punished by, if you play Dragon against Aegis, or if you play like Control Blood against Elephant, like we mentioned. Like, you need to know what you're supposed to do, what's your win condition against all the decks. Otherwise, you're not gonna win,
Hmm.
no matter what you do. Yeah.
One thing I don't know if if you've felt the same way or if you've noticed this is I feel like nowadays in rotation you can just hold your evos for days now. You don't need to use them anymore. Like there have been games where I'm on like turn 10 and I'm like, wow, I'm sword and I have both my evos still.
Yes. Yeah, because every class now has a way to get a lot of value without actually using evos. Like you mentioned sword, that's a good example. Like you have the Genos and Luminous mages, because now we're getting a lot greedier with our decks. So we go like Luminous mages, we got the Errands, like Dragon has I've done games against Dirt where I didn't even interact with my opponent. I just kept like Dragon Oracles and Fervors,
Hmm.
and I was just like ramping to my Ouroboros, and it's like disgusting. Like it deals like 3 damage or 4. I'm like down to 16,
Hmm.
but my Fervors kept healing me, and then my Ouroboros just like makes him play the Muta, and then my Bahamut come down, and my Israfils come down. It's like I don't need to spend evos, like you mentioned. I can just play ramp over it, or like even I can just tribunal, just keep passing the turn,
Hmm.
remove your stuff, like have 30,000 AoE removals. Shadow, I have necroassassins, lurching corpses. I guess the only games where it is very evo intensive, I don't know if you feel that way,
Hmm.
like I do, is the Shadow Mirror. I feel that matchup is very evo intensive, at least the way I played it against my opponents.
I think like I don't seem to remember too many games where I played like the Shadow Mirror where it's been like turn 9 or so where I still have an Evo left. Like
Yeah.
usually you use most of your Evos I feel like by turn 10. But then you still have your Ektars and like Ektar is kind of like an Evo.
Exactly, and on Sword you have the Alberts, so keeping your evos is actually very strong on that class. It's popping up. The MS boys are playing a lot of Sword. I know AutoAim is also always a fan of Sword, like we are. A Forest
Hmm.
is a fan of Sword. JZ was playing Sword as well, motivated by AutoAim, and I know Dirkcello is playing a lot of new Sword.
In the what's it called? The Shadow Nexus. What's the name? What do they call that event? The release event. Just the
Shadow
Chronogenesis.
Nexus Genesis release event.
Yeah,
Yes.
for that one I ended up I think I got third in that one. I don't remember. And the night before Auto Aim was just like, "Hey Sarah, this is a sword list. We haven't played it much yet. You want to bring this one tomorrow?" I was like, "Sure, Auto Aim, I'll bring this sword list."
Yeah.
And it was fun,
And you,
man.
you were also playing the Forest,
Yeah,
so
I played
you
Forest, I
knew it.
played Sword, and I don't remember what my third deck was. I think it was Dragon.
Shadow.
It was
It was
Shadow? Yeah, it
Shadow.
was Shadow.
Yeah, yeah. Bad was playing. You lost to Bad. I remember that game. She was playing a very interesting blood deck.
Yeah, she was playing
Uh,
Jormungand Blood. That was
yeah.
that was difficult, man.
Speaking of blood, uh, now that we mentioned blood, how do you
Hmm.
feel about blood in rotation?
Look, man, Reach of the Archdemon is no revelation. That's all I gotta say.
Okay, so blood has been gutted so much that every blood that I see in rotation is neutral. That just means that the class lost its identity. Like aggro blood just disappeared out of the map. There's no Ambling Wraith. There's no Vania. I don't even know if there's Summon Bloodkin. I don't even know if that exists. It just disappeared out of the map. Like Control Blood disappeared. There's no Diabolic Train. There's no Revelation. There's no Righteous Devil. Like I don't know what happened to Blood, but it just lost so much
Like,
that everyone is playing like Control Blood is neutral blood, Aggro Blood is neutral blood, like
like
Merman, Styx, Ferias, all the things.
I really think just like a lot of the issues that Blood's having right now is just because of the lack of revelation. I don't know how true that is, but like I feel like playing a card
Yeah,
like Blood Moon, right? Blood Moon is still, if you look at a lot of the cards in Blood Moon's still a good card. But when you don't have a card like Revelation to fall back on, where you can go like Blood Moon Revelation in the same turn, or you can just go Blood Moon on curve and then you revelate the board away to catch yourself back up, it's you just don't have ways to recover from the tempo loss of playing a card like Blood Moon anymore.
yeah, yeah. Also, Diabolic Train made every tempo deck from Blood have that option. Even Control Blood could play tempo with Belphegor and Diabolic Train. That would be very strong. After a Blood Moon, you could just recover the entire board and draw 2 cards. Like Diabolic Train was my favorite card, and that's why I actually played Vengeance Blood. It's just because Diabolic Train and Sabreur cards like that made your deck so much resilient to aggressive plans, and also have very strong value cards for the control matchups. So
What is the name of the
losing
new
that
Mhm.
is go ahead.
What's the name of the new Diabolic Drain card that they got? It's
It
Blood Drinker's
is
Brand or something.
grass. Oh, it's brand.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think it's
grasp of
like
steel.
Blood Drinker's Brand or something like that. Have
Yes.
Have you played with that card much?
Yes, I played control board with that card, and I hated that I couldn't. So I needed to heal, but I couldn't play my Emeralda with that thing
Mm-hmm.
to heal because I didn't have enough. So I needed to play that card first and then the Emeralda to get the discount, but I couldn't because I didn't have a target. So if I play the Emeralda first, I didn't have enough play points to play the. So it was a mess. I was like, nah, I'm not gonna play this.
One thing I was thinking about that card is I don't know I don't know how good that card is. I'm still like on the fence about it. But I was thinking just like imagine playing your soul dealer and just like slapping that on your soul dealer. I don't know how good that actually is because the brand does damage to it, right? It like
Yeah,
does.
it deals 4 damage to it.
Yeah, it's like even when
Yeah, like Soul Deal isn't Soul Dealer like a
it's a 6/4,
6/4?
so you have to
Yeah,
evolve
so
it and then it
it would
just
actually
becomes
die.
yeah. Man,
You have to evolve it, and you need 7 mana for that. 7 play points.
every time.
Because you only recover after you play it. So,
Oh,
yeah.
you're right. You're right. Man, every
Yeah.
time I think about that card, it's just like it doesn't do what I want it to do.
Exactly. It's very clunky. Also, let's. I'm gonna take this moment
Mhm.
to talk about this card very fast. Devil Blade. What were you thinking, Side Games, when you created Devil Blade?
Right, I'm gonna search up Devil Blade real quick just so we can get up the
Yeah, I
text.
can read it to you if you want. At the end of your turn, all allied followers gain +1/+0. Deal 2 damage to your leader if Vengeance is not active. For 4 play points, it's an amulet. So, I mean, you're playing. Like 4 play points is so expensive for something that doesn't have an impact on the board. It only has an impact on the end of your turn. So your opponent can actually decide what trades he does instead of you. It's I'm just I look at this card and then I realize why Blood is in such a weird state.
They just
I
got.
still have hopes though.
I think Blood just got a lot of random cards that just do kind of interesting but weird things. Kind of like Lilith. I think that's the name of the new one. It's a 3 mana 1/5. Like that's cool. That's a
Yeah,
huge stat line,
I like that.
and it's got
It's
a.
just we don't have enough tools to use that though. That's what makes me sad. I was so excited when I saw that card because I was thinking of all the like Blood Pact, Ambling Wraith, Snarling Chains, Wolf, and then people were like, Aka, 80% of those cards do not exist anymore. I'm like, oh, I see.
So maybe there's something going on with Blood in Unlimited. But to my
Oh
knowledge,
yeah.
Blood's been playing like aggro Blood in Unlimited, right? It's
Trust
been
me,
like
if you're not playing Blood in Unlimited, you should not be playing Shadowverse. If you have to play Unlimited, you have to play Blood. Like Vengeance Blood had like 60% win rate. on unlimited, or it's
Mhm.
57 or 58% win rate. Like I think the stats were like got it. We got him like today. I think some Japanese site. I think it was 57%, something like that. And then there's aggro blood with a lot of high percentage win rate as well. Like going first is just ridiculous with it.
Mhm.
So I mean, it feels very strong and unlimited because of the cards we mentioned. Like all the cards that got rotated are very strong, and the new set did not make them anything any weaker. But I still have hopes because last expansion, I didn't expect Blood to be strong. I thought Vengeance was weak because we saw 3 nerfs to it, like Sabrur, Big Knuckle Bodyguard, and what else? Caravos. So we saw nerfs to that. I was like, oh, Blood doesn't feel good, Vengeance doesn't feel good. But then at the end of the year at World Grand Prix, I felt that was the strongest deck. So maybe with some nerfs or with some changes, we will see maybe Blood rise up again because
Yeah,
it has been one of the strongest, right?
and I do think blood, like the way you build blood, just depending on what's going on in the metagame, does affect how you need to build your blood deck. So I feel like it's definitely possible that blood is the kind of deck that might need more time to figure out than we've given it so far. Because the expansion's still only been out; it hasn't even been 2 weeks yet, right?
Yeah, it also is one of the hardest classes to build now that the aggro version is out. Like aggro is very linear to build, but like vengeance is kind of tricky, right? You need to have the right amount of activators, the right amount of payoff cards, and like the right amount of healing cards, right? It's
Hmm.
not easy to.
And right now, the options that we have for those effects are ones that we have not played with before or played with much before
Yes.
either.
Yeah.
So it just might we might find that blood makes a comeback, but I don't know. I'm hesitant about it right now, and it makes me a little sad because blood's a class I really enjoy. But
Yeah.
let's talk about some of the new cards in Chronogenesis. What do you think are some of the most powerful cards right now that came out in the new expansion?
Uh, if we talk about power, I'd have to say I highly value from the new set. Highly value Insect Lord and Aisha. Those are the cards that are the strongest for me so far. I think
Aisha is
Insect Lord.
the shadow
uh,
finisher, right?
Yes, Aisha. I don't. The Gatekeeper.
Un-
Sorry about.
Underworld Keeper, I think, something like
Oh,
that.
thank you. So uh, Insect Lord was very underrated uh, because we had cards in Forest, legendary cards like Fairy Dragon, which weren't that strong. So people were looking at Insect Lord as a very weak card, but I always thought it was a strong card because I look at cards and I see I'm very focused on draft. I'm a very take two player. So when I see that a 2 play point card can kill a 5 play point card, that is a good card in my book. No matter how clunky it is, no matter how hard it is, which is actually isn't because you have fairies. It synergizes very well with the
Hmm.
class. No matter how hard it is to kill the 5 drop, the fact that you can kill the 5 drop with your 2 play point card is very strong.
Like I know back when I played a good amount of OTK Roach, the removal Roach was a play you made more often than you were proud to admit, and it got the job done. The Insect Lord is literally removal Roach the card, and
Yeah.
it does that job so well, and it leaves a body on board. You can just start machine gunning things down, bouncing it back to your hand. It's crazy the ways that you can control a board with that card.
I'm just gonna let this sink down on whoever, on everyone who's watching. I saw Insect Lord kill a Bahamut by itself with the help of Elephant, but it killed the Bahamut. The only damage that was dealt to that Bahamut was the Insect Lord. And I know that video exploded on Twitter. So think about it. The last time I saw a 2 play point card kill a Bahamut was Lurching Corpse. And it's everywhere on every shadow deck. So think about Insect Lord and just think about everything that was said about Insect Lord and apologize for it. I think it's one of the strongest cards, and I think people are still not experimenting with it yeah, enough.
People are just afraid to craft the card, I think is what's going on with it. It's like that a lot of people were like disappointed with the card, I guess, and now nobody wants to just like bite the bullet and play three of them, but or even two of them. I don't know if three is the right amount. I can
Yeah.
definitely be sold that two is the right amount as well, but like I'm pretty convinced that card just belongs in a forest deck. And to you guys who play forest, like I recommend the card. I like
Yeah.
it. What do you think about Grand Summoning?
Oh, that card that feels so good, but I despise Dirt Rune, and I'm so sad that that card is being abused by Dirt Rune. I was abusing that card on my giant Chimera deck like, before the meta was settled, and on my Shadow Nexus release event, I was abusing Grand Summoning. But now people are even abusing it even more with like the Oz effect. I think is a very strong effect. It feels like a stronger Consular Card Knight sometimes.
I can't think of too many times where my opponent has played Oz into Grand Summoning on turn 6 where I have not
Yes.
lost. I can't think of many times where I've been able to come back from a situation like that. It's so backbreaking.
It's only like Bahamut, something like that. Yeah, Bahamut or yeah, it's like small sticky. The most annoying thing is the small ward followers that protect that sticky Oz. It's like just let me get to it.
Yeah, like you can't deal with the Osby if you get the trigger, the Earthrise trigger, the Oz becomes a 5/5. That's
Yes,
huge.
yes.
That's a fourth year HP. It's crazy.
And then they evolve it. Oh, it's disgusting.
And then they didn't you were able to clear their board except for the Oz, so they just play a second Grand Summoning that they had in their
Oh,
hand for 1 mana.
you're giving me. Oh, you're making me feel disgusting. I gotta throw. Oh, no, it is. I think it's tilting. Like when you see the high roll Oz onto Grand Summoning, it feels worse than Twin Guardians. I feel, which is kind of weird because Twin Guardians was sometimes like 2/4/4s, right?
Mhm.
But that's the thing. Like even if they played for 6, like Twin Guardians for 7 felt bad, but like Grand Summoning for 6 is not that bad. It feels like a balanced card. And when they high roll it, it's like, oh god, why? Just why?
I think what's so much more difficult about Grand Summoning is the fact that I don't actually know if collectively you're getting more stats worth of stuff. I haven't done the math. I don't it's around the same. But
To
what
what?
the
Sorry.
like Grand Summoning, I think you're getting more stats from Grand Summoning than you are from a Twin Guardians, right?
Twin
Twin is an
is
8/8.
16. It's 8 plus 8, and then Grand Summoning is 3. So it's sorry, it's 7, 10, 15. So it's 15, but it's 3 bodies. So
Yeah,
it's -1, but it's 3 bodies. Oh, it could be 16 if it gives plus PRs.
yeah.
So yeah,
The fact that it's giving the extra body is, I think that's the huge thing about it. That you're getting
yeah,
these two small wards that they're not huge, but they're enough, and they're annoying. And then just like good luck managing with my board because I have all these big things now.
yeah. They also have a very interesting health stat line, because like when you have 2 health, it's kind of weak, but 3 health there's a major difference between 3 health and 2 health. Like we have the example of Consular Card Knights. It is a nightmare for Dragon to kill Consular Card Knights because it's like 1/3 is very hard to deal with. Breath of the Salamander doesn't do anything to it. Like Israfil doesn't deal anything to it. Just kills the normal body. So it's like 3 health is actually very strong.
I want to talk to you about one of my favorite forest cards in this new expansion. I want to talk to you about Rain. Have you played with Rain Elfsmith much or not?
Uh, I don't think I played Rain actually. Let me check. No, I didn't play Rain.
R-
Unfortunately, I
Rain
didn't play.
Rain is a card that I have not seen my forest opponents play against me much at all. And I don't know, maybe I'm just on something, maybe I'm crazy, but this card just seems nuts to me. That so Rain is a 2 mana 2/2, which like those in Shadowverse history, to my knowledge, 2 mana 2/2s tend to be pretty good. And then it's got on evolve. If you cast 3 cards this turn, she'll count herself as well. You give a unit you control 1 attack, and it can't be damaged this turn. So So for example, like on turn 7, you can play something like a Venus. You get a 4/5. You get the free spell, so you play your free spell, and then you play a Rain. You have 3 spells cast this turn. You can evolve the Rain. Your Rain turns into a 4/4, just like any other 2 mana 2/2 that evolves. And then it also takes your Venus, turns it into a 5/5, and also makes it so that it can't take damage this turn. So you can just crash it into a huge thing. You can crash into like a Sybil. You can crash into a Frenzy Drake. You can crash into a Bahamut. It doesn't matter. And just it'll doesn't care. It'll just smack into it, do whatever damage it can to it, and it leaves behind a body, and also gives you a way to use your fairies, like and actually like use them as good removal, in a sense.
Yeah, I think people are it's the 2-slot forest is kind of tricky at the moment. People are still figuring out the numbers because they're playing Lily, and when you think about it, Lily is also very 6, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they're still figuring. It doesn't require an Evo. Insect Lord is also very strong. It's just that Forest got really strong 2-drops. I really love it. We used to talk about Forest, how the 2-drop was only Roach because of Goblin Mage,
Mm-hmm.
but now actually maybe even playing a Goblin Mage makes sense just because your 2-drops are very strong. They have very impactful, even late game. So I think people have not experienced with it enough, and the fact that it takes up an Evo makes them a little reluctant to run the card. But I need to remind all of you that we played a full set, where Lyriel was literally everywhere, and she was also an Evo target for 2 mana, 2 play points, right? So we might see when the meta becomes more mid-range, maybe we might see Rainy be a major factor, because in mid-range matchups, what you want to do is you want your big body to kill their big body and survive. That's mostly what you want.
I want you to just think about, like, you played a good amount of Forest, right, Akka? How many times have you
Yeah,
just played a bunch of fairies in a turn and evolved a fairy? Like,
a lot of times.
uh,
Actually, the first Evo nowadays is almost always a fairy because of brambles and shenanigans. Yeah.
so basically what Rain is she is just a better fairy to evolve.
Yes.
That's how I see the card. Like she does what you were planning on doing anyway, and just makes it a little bit better, if not significantly better.
Yeah. I think it's just the deck seems like Control Forest seems so interesting nowadays that it's very hard to like refine the list. I've been trying to do, like you mentioned, Bahamut. Bahamut was something that I didn't play with yet, just because there's so many things. I just finished crafting my second Elf Queen
Mm-hmm.
just because she was having such a massive impact that I almost always wished I top deck Elf Queen in my games. So I made another one. So I'm adding another one, and I'm still like figuring out like what kind of 2-drops do I actually craft the second Insect Lord, because again, and whenever I get it, it's so good. It's so strong. Juggle Wardens. Do I play 3? Do I play 2? It's very interesting. It's a very cool list to refine. I was playing Israfils. I was playing Saaquiels. Now I'm not anymore. Now I'm playing Jungle Wardens and Elephant. I wasn't playing the Elephant package. Now I am. I was playing Loki's. Now I'm not. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's it's such a cool deck to play with.
There are so many like simple one-ofs that you can play in your Control Forest that just changes how your forest will play so much.
Speaking of one-off, mentioning Forest as well. Bad Kadva, you were playing with it, right?
Yeah,
Were
Bad
you
Catha. I don't think I played her
Bad
much
Kata?
in my. I don't know how you pronounce that thing. It's got such a. How do you pronounce a D before a B? I just don't get that.
A Badve. Badve?
I just call her Bad. I call her Bad Catha. I don't know if that's the way.
Badve.
I don't know if that's
Badve
how you're
Kata.
supposed to pronounce it. But yeah, I've been playing her in like a lot of my decks, just like as a one of. I don't think I played her in my Control Forest though. Like I'd play her in like my
No, I
Shadow.
mean, but
Mhm.
you were playing on, was it the Shadow Nexus release event? Weren't you playing Bad
I
Kadve?
was playing a one of Bad Catha in that event, and I think it did pretty good too. I was playing that mainly because I needed to fill like the 10 card quota from the new expansion. But like she gets the job done, you know. Like if you have a board of fairies, she anthems your board of fairies. If you need to draw some cards and it's really late into the game, sometimes you could play her for 9. If that's not the case and you just want to play a 2/2 out, she's a 2/2 that just randomly gives your units 1 unit, 1 attack. It's not bad. She just does
Yeah.
a lot of versatile things. That's not like most of them aren't insanely impactful, but the later the game goes, the better she gets.
You know, I would if I pulled one, I would try it on Vengeance Blood because I was a fan of Angelic Knight. Like buffing your Urias or Imp is massive,
Mm-hmm.
and getting the chance because she's like a singer and an Angelic Knight at the same time, right? Some people were playing singer on the elf, pure hearted singer, the one that draws 2 cards. They were playing that on Vengeance, so like Bad Cadbus could be your singer plus Angelic Knight. I'm a very big fan of giving +1 attack to a 1/4 or a 1/3 is such a massive difference. You just made your own Grimnir, or you're like you get it right, like a
Mm-hmm.
2/4 or a 2/3 for 2 play points are very strong. I really like that.
Yeah.
I was a big fan of Angelic Knight.
One thing I'm really curious to try out, and I don't expect it to work out the way I want it to, but I just want to try it, is when I pull a third Bad Catha, I want to see what it's like when you just play three in a deck and
Oh
see.
wow.
I I assume it's not gonna work out well,
Yeah.
but
I mean,
I feel like there's a small chance I might be pleasantly surprised.
you might well, it might be a Grimnir effect, a Grimnir like thing, right? Because they're both 3 play points. They both came up late in the game. Grimnir was also very expensive when you think about it, but people were actually finding ways to play 3. So maybe you're just a genius and you just found the new Grimnir.
That's what I was thinking. Is like we have these games
Actually,
that are
that's
going so late.
I think that's what the card lacks. The spell, if it dealt 3 damage, if it was like compared to Ultimate Infestation, right? A card that does everything into a single card. If it healed 3, if it buffed for 3, if it drew 3 cards and dealt 3 damage,
It'd
that
be
would be
nuts.
really good.
It'd be really nuts.
Yes.
But like as
Yeah.
is, I don't know if you've ever played your Bad Catha for 9 yet and gotten the
Yeah.
Morigna's Gospel, I think it's called.
Yeah.
Hey man,
Morriganas. Yeah.
that's a pretty good card, man. Morigna's
Yeah.
Gospel is a pretty good card. Or it could even like do something cute, and like instead of being removal where it does 3 damage to something, it just gives the unit rush.
Oh yeah.
That'd be neat
Oh,
too.
also something I don't like is the buff is random.
Hmm.
You cannot choose, which can be kind of tricky to get a good effect of.
All of her buffs are random, which is a little disappointing, I think. Is
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
best
for
thing I
such
can think to
an
say about it.
an expensive card, right? You think you'd have the choice, but you don't.
Hmm.
I think that's what is making that card not being too played. People are kind of uh, reluctant to play it, probably because people like to choose when you play a competitive game. When you play in a tournament, you want to have control of as many choices, control of as many actions as you can. You don't want to let the RNG decide if you win or lose. You want to be in control. So that's people tend to stay away from cards like that.
I think the fact that she's a legendary is like really hurting her because I feel like a lot of people just don't want to craft cards like her to experiment with her. Just because
Yeah.
like
I
pe-
am an example like that. Yeah, I
yeah,
don't want to.
like
Yeah.
you look at a card like Grimnir, like everyone was on Grimnir, but Grimnir was a rare. Grimnir was only a gold.
Yeah.
Bad is not. Bad isn't quite expensive compared to Grimnir.
But her design does feel legendary, right? 'Cause it's so unique and special.
She's got 3 enhance effects. I can't even think of another card in the game that has two.
Yeah, I didn't even know how it worked mechanically until I saw JC playing it for 9. I didn't even know you get all the effects because it's the first time we have a double enhance card, right? I
Hmm.
think it's
I can't
literally the first.
I can't think of another one.
Yeah. So it's quite nice to know that from now on, maybe we'll get more cards, and now we know what's gonna happen for the enhance. Speaking of unique cards, what do you feel about Deus Ex Machina?
That card's crazy. Like when Deus Ex Machina like hits the field, I feel like the game just completely changes. You're no longer
Yeah.
playing like if you were a control deck or whatever you were doing, you're no longer playing I am a just trying to grind my opponent out of resources because it is no longer possible. Your opponent just has infinite
Yes.
resources until they deck themselves. And
Yes. Like
reminds me a
what I
lot of
love. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say it reminds me sort of in a way, it reminds me a lot of Stairway to Paradise. just because of how that card would just always refill you and always refill you.
Yeah, PDK with Staircase to Paradise was just a nightmare. I think PDK got very hard, like a very hard nerf because of Staircase actually, and then they realized, oh, maybe the problem was Staircase, and then they nerfed Staircase a couple of like a month past that, I believe.
Staircase is just not the same anymore.
Yeah, yeah, I think PDK was actually not like as broken as people were talking about. I think it was just Staircase because you'd get like PDK with a full board because Staircase would just give you all the PDKs and all the small followers. I think that's why that deck was so annoying to play against because you couldn't control it.
A 5 HP PDK nowadays would
Yeah.
still be a nightmare to remove.
Yes, but then your opponent wouldn't have as many effects because they don't have Staircase. At least if you kill the PDK, the first PDK, you know you win the game because they cannot reveal the entire board again, right?
Mhm.
If you Breath of the Salamander, all the small forwards except the PDK, or if you Bahamut once, you know you win. Well, otherwise they would like PDK Scyther, kill your Bahamut, and then keep playing stuff into the board. It was really annoying. So, why I love Deus Ex is that when I play that, I feel like I feel like I was playing chess, and now I'm playing 3D chess. Because it's like I'm managing resources outside my hand. It is so cool. It's like you're not even playing Shadowverse, because now you have to focus on your opponent's board, on your board, on your hand, on your opponent's hand, and on your deck. Like you have to. What do I have left? Do I want to draw? Do I want to discard my Saphira? Do I want to get all more artifacts? Is the Saphira gonna be good enough if I don't replenish my hand and get all the good artifacts? It is so cool to play like this 3D Shadowverse, underwater Shadowverse. Like I don't know how to explain it, but it's. I was playing Take Two. I pulled Deus Ex. I was like constantly being pressured by deck out because I had to draw a card. Now I cannot draw this turn. Now I need to draw another card. I was like 4 turns in a row without resonance just because I didn't want to deck out. And then my opponent made a brilliant play. I was board locked, and I had the artifact that suicides, and he didn't play anything. He just passed the turn because he didn't have lethal. And I was like, this guy's brilliant. So I discard my entire hand and I lose by deck out.
That's
It was
pretty
the
cool.
most insane game. Yeah, it was so cool.
One thing I feel like about Deus Ex is like Deus Ex is sick. She's such a powerful card, and she's like does all these fantastic things for Portal. And I think this is just has to do with Portal since it's so new. But I think it's unfortunate that I feel like when I'm watching Portal or when I'm playing Portal, if my opponent or if I don't draw Deus Ex, I feel like I'm not playing against the deck anymore.
Oh yeah.
Like if it's turn 8 and they don't get their Deus Ex, I'm like this just feels like a free win. Because it's such a key component to how that deck plays, I feel.
Yeah. It's their class the class doesn't have it's because it doesn't have enough cards. So you don't have a solid 3, a solid 4, a solid 5. Like all you have is Spinaria. You don't have a solid 6 outside Deus Ex, and then your finishers are like Saphira takes a really long time to build up compared to Aisha. It's right. It's so different. Like there's no Thane, there's no Ektar. Like Shadow was kind of like Portal feels like Shadow from Darkness Evolved was when I started playing. It didn't have good like it only had Mordecai. Like when you think about it, the win conditions were Mordecai and Andras. Do you even remember Andras? Like Andras was a 9 play point, I believe. It was something like 4 necromancy or 6 gain storm. 4-9 for with Bane, I think, something like that, or 5-9.
What card
So
are we talking about?
Andras.
This is
Andras. It's a 5-9 Bane, Fanfare, Necromancy 4 gain storm. This is Darkness Evolved, or maybe it's standard. It's Darkness Evolved.
I don't remember this card.
I'll type it on chat. Andras, if you want to see. So Shadow felt weak in Darkness Evolved, but then you got the Thanes, the Ectors, right? So all of a sudden, there's this very strong, like the Catacombs. There's this very strong deck. So maybe we'll see Portal Graph transition into that.
I
Maybe Portalcraft will play like Shadow, and then Safira will win the game.
I think just looking at how Portal plays now, like when they have those good curves, like when they have their Deus Ex and they curve out well, it feels like a strong deck, man. Like it's not weak. Like I don't think the class is that far off from being like a really strong contender. I just don't think it's quite there yet.
Yeah, I think we need to see more like the other archetype. Something funny. I think that even the designers do not know yet uh how I mean how to not build but how to design the class because it's so new. Usually designers test the waters, allow the players to play with it, and then they realize, okay, we can do this and then this and then this. A good example, like the puppet archetype for uh Portalcraft
Hmm.
feels unfinished. It feels like it's like a patch and then you need a DLC in the future. It kind of feels like Earth Sigil. Do you remember Earth Sigil for Rootcraft?
Yeah, it took
It was
forever
the
for Earth Sigils.
clunkiest. Like it was all over the place. It was awful. It was very unreliable. And then they were like, "Oh, we figured it out. We can do this. Let's make it. Let's give them a curve. Let's give them good sigils." And now we got Dirt Room. Is a very popular and strong deck. So maybe Puppet Portalcraft will be like that. The designers need. We just need to give them time. We can't expect them to make a perfect like new class. Look how much time it took them to make Dragon competitive. Look how much time it took them to make Shadow competitive. And now we see Shadow and Dragon everywhere.
Hmm.
So those classes, I need to remind you, those classes, at least the archetypes that are playing now, did not exist at all in Darkness Evolved. They wouldn't even play. Like Dragon was sometimes aggro, but that was very weak against Alana. It was very, very weak. And then there was a Shadow was kind of aggro again as well, but they were not what they are now. So we need to give them time.
I want to ask you, how do you feel about the new Ayala? Now that Ayala is the old Ayala was called what, like Ayala Dragon Sword, and the new one is
Ayla. I don't know. It's too new for me.
I don't know the names of like either
Ayla.
of the Ayalas, but and
Dragon
that
Sword. Dragon Sword.
Ayala is just a little bit older now. Her dragon, we're still no match for Mr. Dragon.
She's so
I,
cute though. Like
I'm so this card makes me so sad. I don't know if you feel the same way, but
I was sad, but now I just ignore. I'm like I play two Ayalas, and then what I'm doing is like, oh nice. I play my Civil. I have 2 extra mana. I guess instead of evolving my Sybil, I can evolve my Ayala. That's all I'm doing. I'm like, I'm mulligan. I'm actually not keeping Ayala in my opening hand. I'm like throwing her away. It's just like she's a feeler for my curve. She's like, I have this 2 extra mana. I guess instead of summoner, I can evolve my Ayala.
mhm.
Nice, thank you. It's just like I'm just ignoring it.
I mean, she gets the job done. She feels so much less good than the old Ayala did.
Yeah, yeah. Like in some matchups, playing Ayala was just devastating. Like Shadow did not want to play against Ayala. Uh, Runecraft, Dimension Shift did not want to play against Ayala. They don't want to kill it. They take extra damage if you don't kill it. It was so fun. It was so good.
Have you played with Frenzy Drake much?
No,
No?
actually, I was not. No, I wasn't playing it because I'm still playing the SA package.
Mhm.
So it doesn't have good synergy because you need dragon cards.
Yeah.
I'm still in love with my SAS
Sa
because
Sa
against Shadow, yeah, it's very strong. Go.
I feel like this expansion Saha's like just coming out the woodworks is like one of the strongest cards in the format right now.
Yeah, it's just the nature of like this expansion is so slow that even decks that do not ramp can get to Sa effectively. And if you get to 7 play points, there's no better play in the entire game other than Sa Israfil. I saw Control Forests playing Sa Israfil. Just Sa and Israfil. Nothing, no other neutrals.
I've seen
Just
that
because
same
if
list
you were
actually.
able to play that, yeah.
It's
If you're able to play Sa on 7 for an Israfil, there's no better play on 7 than that. It's like you're evolving into an 8/8 body that deals 2 damage to face and AoE. It's just
and,
I
and then
can't even.
and then on top of it, you just casually have an evolve orb you can spend on the Saha that turn if you need to.
Mhm. and like you can kill the Ectars. It's very strong. You can even like trade into Bahamut's without like if you have no other answer, you can evolve your like imagine you're playing against Dragon. Look, back then they slammed the Bahamut on turn 10 because
Hmm.
forests have a good way to deal with it, and now you can like Sa evolve the Israfil. A good answer, but at least it's an answer. You can
One.
maybe Sa, and then you have the Brambles on the
Mhm.
board, and you can actually kill the Bahamut.
One answer I've always kind of liked to Bahamut is like if you go Saha Bahamut and then you evolve your Bahamut
Oh
will
yeah,
kill theirs and come back to your hand and still live.
yeah.
And that's something that
It's good value.
that's something that you could
Trade
actually do
I
nowadays.
Yeah, trading an Evo for Bahamut is very good. Yeah. Oh, actually, let me ask you this: have you
Hmm.
ever witnessed? Now that we mentioned Brambles, have you witnessed? There's this weird phenomenon that Shadowverse players have forgotten how Brambles works. Apparently, have you ever witnessed Odile attacking into a Brambles? What's that? Odette. Have you ever witnessed that mistake?
I don't think I've run into that one.
So I saw 3 different streams on a day. In 2 days, I saw that mistake 5 times. In 3 different streams, I saw that mistake on the same day, like on a difference of like 1 hour. So you play the Odile, she evolves. You summon an Odette. Odette is 4 attack. Your Odile has 5 health, and they attack into the Odette, and the Odette kills it because of the brambles, and you do not get the AOE damage. So you're basically spending 6 foot points and discarding your Odile, and I saw that mistake 5 times.
I guess
It is so
that's kind of strange. You think that'd be a mistake that people would have made like last expansion or
yeah.
like, but
Like
I don't know, man. The
I
new
mean, it's
new
not the
expansions
first
bring
time we
out
see
some.
brambles, right?
Hmm. No, new expansions just bring out interactions that we don't see too often, and they just allow for mistakes to happen more often, I guess.
Yeah, because if it was like a Mr. Full, someone evolving a Mr. Full Moon target last expansion, that's fine. But like this expansion, if someone evolves a Mr. Full Moon target, I would be very surprised because we saw that a lot already. So
We were talking earlier about unlimited, and you had mentioned Stormhaven, and that got me thinking like Summit Temple with Moon Mirage is just like a little silly. I feel like
I suffer that. That's why I'm very scared of unlimited because I don't want to. I mean, I won those games, but I don't want to play against Avon that has like 14 damage on 6 and 7. No,
I
no.
I'm just like I'm blown away by Heavenly Knight just as a card. I don't know, like it's just I want to know what was going on when they were thinking like, you know what? Haven needs a 7 mana Genesis Dragon with Ward. All right, guys.
You know what's funny? It's I don't even think it's a good combo. Like some, I played 3 Summit Temples, then I cut to 2, and then now I'm not playing any Summit Temples at all.
Hmm.
But it just feels so bad to play against it because you need to play around 7 days. It's like playing around Phantom Owl, right? It feels so bad. Now, against Haven, I used to be greedy. I don't give a shit about my health. But now I'm like, well, maybe they have the casual 7 attack for
Well,
7.
if they have an Evo, it's just like casually whoops. So I got 9.
It feels like you're playing against Dragon, but it's almost as if Dragon has Aegis.
It's almost
It's
as if
so
Genesis Dragon
sad.
has. It's almost like Genesis Dragon has Ward. Like what's going on,
Oh
man?
my! Because you need to play. Because you need to play very conservatively. Because you don't want to die. But then if you spend all your resources, they're like, haha! Now I evolve my Aegis because you played your refill, you dumb baka. Instead of playing your I don't know your Zeus, you played your Israfil because you had to heal, and I can evolve and trade into your Israfil, and now your Zeus is baha. God damn it.
From the heavens above, justice has been delivered.
Because I didn't Zeus face. Because they could have like I don't know. I don't. Uh,
Heav-
it's sad.
Heavenly Knight's just strong, man. I think that card's just pretty
You
good.
know what makes me sad? Ether of the White Wing. I thought I was being smart by pulling a Neverland Knight, It doesn't have Storm.
And
It's
it's a
fanfare.
fanfare, yeah. That got me
Feels
the
bad,
first time
man.
too. I was just like, oh yeah, I got
Yeah.
lethal against my dragon opponent. I slammed my Aether. I was like, oh yeah, you're gonna lose now. I
That's
click on it. I'm just like, oh, I can't attack.
that is when I decided to cut my Heavenly Knight because I was playing against Dirt Rune, and guess what? Ether and Heavenly Knight were pointless against Mutable.
Yeah. It's just
I had this big ward. They're like, nope, Psh, get out of here.
what do you think about this? Was a card that from when I first saw the expansion, the grumblings and the mumblings I've heard about it was like this. Nobody was too impressed by it, but Chain Lightning. Chain Lightning is a card that I feel like it's almost always a one of nowadays. I feel like, at least.
It's annoying. Uh, okay, so I'm always that question is almost always biased because I'm always on the side of the player that is not playing Shadow Lightning because I never played a game of Dirge Rune, and I don't think I will ever play a game of Dirge Rune just because I despise that deck so much. I hate Hawes as a card. I just despise that such a massive body is so strong. But then again, we'll talk about that on another occasion. So
Hmm.
Chain of Lightning is so annoying to play against because you can grind them, but then all of a sudden they can like for 10 play points they can deal 6 and then 6 again. So it puts you on the clock. It's annoying to play against. It's a one off, and then they pull it off. You're like, oh come on, did you really pull that when you had like 3 cards?
It's very powerful for like the. I think for the one card inclusion, the fact that it just keeps on. It's basically an infinite resource as long as you're low on cards, and it's yeah. I
It's
think.
like
Mhm.
it's like illusionist. Like that deck feels it just feels bad to play against it. I honestly have emotions and feelings of darkness, and I feel sorrow and pain and frustration to play against Illusionist and Chain and Oz. It's just so I don't know. It's just so icky. So it feels like Leopard Gnome. Do you remember Leopard Gnome
Do
ages?
I remember feeling icky? I remember Leopard Gnome.
It's so gross.
It's
I don't know.
what bothers me about the class is I just feel like it's got so many cards that if you're sitting on the other side of the table, they feel like they're high rolls. Where like
Oh yes,
they have no cards left in hand. Oh, you just got Chain Lightning a turn and a half in a row. um, you got
yes.
the
And then the emote, like they're like, "Oh, you're good at this." I'm like, "Ah!"
yeah, Chain Lightning's a strong one. I think that card's gonna be here to stay for a bit.
Okay, okay. So
Hmm.
the face of the expansion, we have not talked about that.
Mister.
I think he deserves to be talked about just because he's the face of the expansion. There's a trend going on that the face of the expansion has been a meme because
they,
we had Zodiac Demon and now we have Chronos. Do
who
you okay? Question:
mhm.
meme or no meme
For Chronos?
for Chronos?
I have not played with Chronos yet. I have heard people talking about like playing Chronos in like Ramp Dragon and in PDK Dragon. And like people have mentioned like you cut the Bahamut's and you just play what's it called?
Imperial
Yeah,
Dragoon?
Imperial Dragoon. And that seems like conceptually it sounds cool, but in my mind I can't imagine that it works better than Bahamut's do. But
Yeah.
but I'm intrigued. I want to imagine just Chronos just like doing things because Chronos is cool. Chronos is much like
Yeah.
Deus Ex Machina, where both players are just like we now have infinite resources. We're just going pound for
Yeah.
pound, throwing cards at each other.
We are playing 3D chess. We have a lot of plans of attack now. We can attack with like we can storm your face. We can remove your entire board. We can yeah. It opens up so many doors to play the game.
So I don't know if Chronos is gonna be good. Actually, Jay Z explained it to me in like a way that like really put things into perspective for me. Where he had said, "So do you remember Odin, the 8 mana 4/3 that when it enters the field it removes something? This is the same thing except it doesn't remove something."
Yeah.
And that's kind of difficult to like to just casually play sometimes.
Well, to be fair, a 6/10 has more impact than a 6/5 though. So also okay, so when you evaluate cards by themselves,
Mm-hmm.
Chronos has no impact. But Chronos is not one of those cards. It's like Deus Ex. When you evaluate Deus Ex, she's a very weak card, right? For a 6 play point. But when you look at what it opens up, it makes your, like you mentioned, Imperial Dragoon was a card that was not played at all, or just a one-off to surprise your opponent.
Mm-hmm.
Now it makes it stronger. Chronos makes Imperial Dragoon actually something to consider, something to play to burst your opponent, keep bursting your opponent. Something else interesting that I actually faced: Triple Queen of the Dread Sea boards are possible with Chronos.
Mm-hmm.
So you Chronos, and then your opponent just wrecks, like out tempos you, but then you can Queen Bahamut and play something else, and then you just keep queening. I mean, not Bahamut, I guess, because it would be annoying. It would be bad for you, but like Queen, some I don't know something.
A
They
frenzy
played
drake, maybe.
like Azi the Haka.
Like,
They kept storming my face, so they kept like literally storming me down, and I had to kill their boards, and then they stormed me again with Queen, and they kept doing that over and over again. So I mean, when you look at the card, it's kind of weak, but I think that I think that it's gonna take a lot of, like, it has to be something genius, someone genius and creative to make Chronos just the best thing on, just the staple on a deck, just the focus of a deck.
I I feel like maybe if Chronos is ever gonna become like a thing, I feel like I don't know. I might be wrong, but I feel like cards like Heavenly Aegis, like cards that are just like instant win conditions, kind of need to exist less for something like
Yes.
an infinite value, like an actual card advantage win condition. If you're trying to win by a card advantage win condition, uh, but the thing is, Chronos isn't even like a real card advantage win condition because you're giving your opponent cards too. I don't know.
Yeah, but that opens up another path to win, like milling.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we have not seen mill cards yet, but Chronos is actually the first ever card that can mill your opponent. You had no other card did that. So now you have cards like do you remember the Hearthstone cards? The ones that the sword card that makes your opponent draw a card?
Oh, it was like a
Like
3 mana
cards,
4/4 with Death Rattle. Your opponent
yeah,
draws a card.
it was a swords thingy. I don't remember. There's a lot of cards like that in Hearthstone that make your opponent draw cards. So this is actually the first ever Shadowverse card that actually interacts with your opponent's deck.
Wait, I
It
don't.
opens up.
I don't
Go
think
ahead.
that's 100% true. There's Sammy. Sammy draws your opponent's cards.
Oh yeah, yeah, you're right. So so we could see perhaps a mill option. Someone was talking to me about it, about playing a puppet Portalcraft Chronos deck to mill your opponent. Just kill everything and just mill.
That sounds interesting. That's the kind of thing that I would like to see somebody else do before I myself start experimenting with it. Like it sounds pretty cool, but that's not exactly what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to like I'm trying to play King
So
Elephants.
imagine now with the Odin example. Imagine your Odin stopped your opponent from playing Bahamut. Wouldn't that make Odin a lot better than what it actually is? Your Odin removes something, but your Chronos makes your opponent not play Bahamut, right? So that is interesting.
It's true. It's like a weird way to get a strange leg up in the dragon matchup because like
Yeah.
you can just not play any Bahamuts, and now if your opponent ever does play a Bahamut to emergency board clear or something, he's suddenly super behind the fatigue race now.
Also, unlimited Prince of Darkness Chronos. Hell yeah!
That sounds pretty sick.
What about Prince of Darkness, Cardabos, Chronos? Hell yeah!
Like that now we're
Get
going a
that.
little too deep. I remember I was trying to play Karabas. I was playing like a one of Karabas in my control blood because I wanted to get someone with the Azeroths and just have the ping off the
But now
Karabas
you
finish him
can.
off.
Now you can play your Diabolic Drains, your Revelations. Just play your Cardabos, Prince of Darkness, Chronos. That's all you gotta do.
Um,
Actually, Chronos in Control Blood is probably not that hard, just because you have Revelation. Even if your opponent like spams the board, you can like Revelation after you play the Chronos.
but you can't play the two in the same turn even so, right? Like,
Yeah, you can.
yeah,
Yeah, that's right. But
that's
you
the hard part
can
about
double
it.
diabolic drain.
You can
I
you
don't know.
can you
I'm
can work
just trying
something
to.
out. You can figure something
Yeah,
out.
it is a good card for control decks actually. Now that
It's
except Aegis.
it's just an interesting card, and like I'm so curious about it. Like I can't imagine like this card is just actually just straight terrible, just because it's such a crazy effect.
And we all love drawing.
Hmm.
It's my favorite thing to do. So
Yeah. So one thing that I want to talk about, and one like last card that I want to mention. I don't know if you have any other cards you wanted to mention, but one thing that I find pretty interesting is so we had mentioned actually, I think the last podcast we did was the sword one, and we had talked about how sword just doesn't have any AOE's or anything like that. So,
can let me just quickly interrupt you.
mhm.
Someone when I was in Japan, someone uh told me that they watch all the streams or almost all the streams, all the YouTube videos, all the podcasts. So they actually listen to our opinions. And I do not know if it influenced or not the design team, but our opinions are actually heard and they are sent, and Cygames has and knows what we think and what we say. So that's kind of cool. So go ahead.
That's actually just straight awesome.
Yeah.
But but yeah, so the card I was going to talk about was Lancer of the Tempest. I find that so cool that now Sword actually has a way to remove a board. Once it's lost the board, Lancer of the Tempest will just come down, do 2 damage to everything. And also another card that they got, that I forget the name of it, but it's a 4 mana Angelic Barrage that'll summon you a 1/1 and a 1/1 with Ward. Do you remember the name of that one?
It's Confront Adversity.
Confront Adversity. So in this expansion, Sword got 2 ways to start like mass AoE removing boards, and I find that awesome.
I lost to that with my forest deck. I played the brambles and the fairies. He had the hedgehog, bladed hedgehog, and he got a lot of value out of that.
Yeah, because if you get like 3 fairies, suddenly that hedgehog, like, is just
And
it's a nuke. I love hedgehog. It does so much
and
damage.
it protects the hedgehog because you get a ward followers,
It
a
protect,
1/1 ward. Yeah,
but it also attack is what you're trying to tell
yeah.
me.
Oh, also, we mentioned healing. Do you remember that? We want to play control sword. Give us healing. We
Hmm.
got healing. We got a
Yeah,
really good healing. We got a floral fencer that heals.
yeah,
That's really good.
and what I like about that one, there's a lot of things I like about that card actually.
Yeah.
What's that's frontline? Is that frontline mercenary or something? I forget the name of that one.
It's frontline cavalier.
Frontline Cavalier. That there's so many things I like about that card. It's got so many things going for it. I love that when you draw it late game, you can just play Swordcraft followers behind it and just it won't be useless. It'll still have some small effect, unlike Floral Fencer.
Yes, unlock exactly. Yeah,
And another thing that I love is that this card's a commander. That it's actually like you can
yeah.
play on turn 9. You can go what's the name of that card? You can go, oh my god, my sword brings hope. What's the name of that one? It's a 2/3 and you evolve it.
Luminous mage.
Yeah,
Luminous mage.
you can play
Yeah, yeah,
Luminous Mage
yeah,
and then you can
yeah.
evolve that
I
one.
saw that. I saw that. Oh yeah,
I did
yeah,
that to people at the SN release event. It's awesome, man.
yeah.
It's
No, it is like control sword is something that might actually happen. Like what we lack is just people trying to make it work.
Mhm.
Not the Roland. I don't think Roland is still gonna be used.
I don't know, man. Heavenly Aegis is a card. King Elephant is a card. Like these are all cards, and Roland stops cards like Heavenly Aegis. It stops cards like King Elephant. Like,
It's just a shame that the aggro meta kind of rotated now with rotation.
mhm.
No pun intended. That we get the good sword anti aggro cards, right? It's kind of funny.
Yeah, it's interesting that we got it. Like we happen to get it now, but I don't know, man. I'm excited. I'm so excited. I think Sword got some really
Actually,
neat tools this time around
maybe unlimited swordcraft. Wow, that could shut down aggro blood. Maybe.
because of all the
Wow.
bats.
Yeah.
I think
And you got healing and AoE. Wow, that we might be onto something.
I think now that we're getting like more angelic barrage style effects, I think that's just really good for the game.
Mm, I agree.
So
Now you can play angelic barrages that do not feel bad when they
mhm,
don't get the super massive effect,
mhm.
because you're still getting puppets, or I guess like knights that can heal you, perhaps if you have the front line.
Maybe we might just get like what would be cool. I don't know how cool this would actually be in play when it actually if it would ever actually be a card, but like an angelic barrage style card that scales as the game goes on,
Or enhance. It could be enhance.
kind of like Bad Katha.
Yeah, exactly. I was thinking about that. Yeah. Like 9 mana,
Deal
deal
5 damage
Bahamut
to
damage.
everything.
Deal Bahamut damage. You
Just
should
13
actually
damage
say
to
that.
everything.
Deal Bahamut damage. Skill anything.
Bahamut the board.
Bahamut the board. You
Just
need like a Bahamut
Bahamut becomes a
spell.
keyword. This happens after Bahamut rotates out, and Bahamut just becomes a keyword.
Actually, the first legendary spell could be Bahamut's Roar. Because when you play it, he always roars, so they'd be like deal 13 damage to everything.
That'd be cool. I
Yeah,
don't.
or destroy every fault.
I'm really interested to see if we're gonna get like if Bahamut ever does rotate out, which with how rotation works, eventually it will. If we're ever gonna get more Bahamut style cards, or just like more cards with the character Bahamut himself, because Bahamut's just a cool character in the lore.
Yeah, quick update, Mrs. Suzu. It
Mhm.
rotates in 3 months. Actually, 2.5 months.
But
Because Rise of Bahamut is the next set to rotate.
Bahamut's next to go. Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Oh, I'm
It's
not
next on the
ready.
chopping block.
Oh, I'm not ready, but I'm so
You know what
ready.
that means? That means we are going to get something new that is as explosive as Bahamut.
We're gonna get
That is exciting.
5 mana Bahamut, 17/17, wipe the board, do 10 damage to face.
You know what would be funny? 4 mana 7/7 Bahamut.
Just give me the
rub
meme. Give
the
me the 4
salt.
mana
The
7/7s.
4 mana 7/7.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, like on Evo, wipe Bahamut the board.
Or like evolve a 1/1, like you mentioned, a one play point legendary, evolve summon Bahamut. Just like boom. It's this small like soldier like Perseus, and it's like boom, summons this big dragon.
Maybe we'll get cards like maybe Forest will have a way to put 0 mana Bahamuts in their hands.
Like last word, summon Bahamut. Oh, put a Bahamut, 0 play point Bahamut. Actually, what if it was a 10 play point? Right? A 10 play point, 1/1. Last words, get a Bahamut.
Put a 0 mana Bahamut in your hand.
Yes,
That'd
be
be
fun.
that'd be crazy.
I
Imagine
mean,
just
you're
like
playing 10. You're paying 10 for 1/1, right? So, eh.
yeah, that's pretty bad. I feel like the moment you spend like 10 mana to play a 1/1, you probably lost the game. Or maybe like when he
I guess you
pops,
could evolve it, trade, and then play the Bahamut.
maybe it's like when it pops. So it's like last words when it dies, like Bahamut the board, deal 13 damage to everything, and then summon the Bahamut.
Yeah, we just need more. As you can see, we just need more Bahamuts. That's all we need.
I think
3 Bahamuts is not enough.
I don't want to be speaking for everyone, so I'm just gonna be speaking for myself. But I really like AOE's in card games. I don't know if you feel the same way, but I think they allow
Yes.
for
Oh,
like a lot
hell
of
yeah.
they allow for a lot of like back and forths. Like my favorite part of the Dragon Mirror is when 5 turns in a row, all you're hearing is just the Bahamut sound.
It's better than hearing the Ouroboros one. Like I Ouroboros breath, you Ouroboros breath, I Ouroboros breath, you Ouroboros breath. It's like the raw is way better than
It feels so satisfying. You just the Bahamut animation, everything dies, and then it happens again. Everything dies again. Like how many
I
times can
believe
the field
they
be
are called
desecrated?
Bahamut Wars, which is
Hmm.
it's a nice name. It has a nice ring to it.
Hmm.
Bahamut Wars.
It's enjoyable, but I think I think we talked about pretty much everything we want to talk about today, right?
Yep.
You got anything else? Any other ideas?
Nope. Just that NGE is coming up soon, so make sure to tune in and watch that. It should be at the end of the month.
Tu-
I'm not
tu-
sure when yet, but
Tune in and play in it. Do both.
yes, Yes.
The
So
if
play on it, and when you get eliminated, just tune in the stream. Or if you keep going, just tune in the stream anyway, so you can hear what people say about you.
get that
How do you
free
how do they call your name and stuff like that?
get the free information on your opponents. Figure out what they're playing so you can snipe them in a round later on.
Yeah, precisely.
If you guys
That's what I did. When
Mhm.
I made it to the stream. Well, my first ever NG, when I made it to the stream, I was like, I made it, boys. Everyone on HSQ was excited. Everyone was tuning in, watching our game. Me and Sisne. And I made it. Yes, now I can hear someone talk about me and how monkey I am.
I lost my train of thought. That's unfortunate.
We are plugging in stuff,
We're plugging stuff.
I think.
Plugging
Yeah,
stuff.
NG. We got what else? Do we
Oh.
have any tournaments going on?
We have like within ourselves, within HSK, we have something in the woodworks. We're still not entirely sure what it is, but keep your eyes peeled for that. We're planning on having something. The Shadow Nexus monthly, I think, right? That's a thing. Isn't that like at the end of the month?
Yeah, it used to be 20th something. 26th maybe? At the end of the month. Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, there's that. But guys, I remember what I was gonna say. If you guys enjoy Shadowverse, the most important thing you can do to help this scene grow is to play in these events. Play in these events and watch these events, and that's that's what we need to do, guys. Like keep on it. It's the turn. Mhm.
Serious talk right now. They watch our numbers. Like I mentioned before, I was told that they watch our streams, they watch our videos, they want to know our opinions. I was given a card so that if I needed to tell them about something about the tournament scene, if the World Grand Prix needed changes, if like feedback, they gave me a card like it has an email, has everything that I need to contact someone important to tell them good feedback, and they watch our numbers. They see how many players we have in the West. If we are big enough, we could be having a World Grand Prix instead of 12 Japanese players. We could have 12 Western players. In fact, if we were big enough, we could have the World Grand Prix right here in like America or Europe or like maybe it rotates, right? It could be like Japan one year, it could be Europe another year, it could be America another year.
It could be
We
like
could
the
have like
Olympics.
Grand Prix. I mean, it's just play on it. Just make this as big as possible.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely. Just play in the events, guys. They're
Trust
awesome.
me, like these ideas seem crazy. I've heard crazier things. So just people are like lunatics and they try but they try really hard to make things work, so just play,
Worst case
just become the
scenario,
next Nakamura, just do it.
worst case scenario, you get to play in a Shadowverse event. Like you're probably gonna play Shadowverse anyway. You're listening to this podcast. Come on.
Yes.
All right, guys. I think we've said everything we need to say for the day. Thank you guys all for joining. Thanks for listening to the podcast. Thanks for watching if you're watching us on YouTube. Um, I'll leave some shameless plugs somewhere in the description so you can follow us on Twitter or whatever you guys want to do. So you can join our Discord, all that jazz. Thank you guys very much and have a good night. We'll see you next
Thank
week.
you.